Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's News Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date, Wednesday, March 8th, 2017. Woo, yeah. Something else out there, right? Yeah, along the New Rivers, the New River of Fort Lauderdale, and presiding at CJ's Lounge, 400 Southwest First Avenue or Southwest New River Drive, Suite 1, or formerly known as Squeeze is to be. Oh, yeah. Well, kicking back, I'm going to do a show here, watching the Idiot Box, and see dumbed down Gino Broad herself, Dianne Feinstein, the bride of Frankenstein for the U.S. Senate, speaking about pervasive leaks. You know what makes me laugh when you got these political career politicians with tyrannical credibility and trying to sell you something, which their unsanitized rhetoric. I find it more potent than in a abandoned porta potty. Guess a lot of you folks know exactly what I'm talking about. Nothing new at all. Just can't get angry. I just gotta laugh. That is how pathetic a lot of these folks are, and they're being stripped naked every single time. We're gonna be talking about the leaks. I know it's been a big trend in the alternative media or the independent, and I believe that for a fact because I could say a lot of us, like-minded folks, seen it coming for a long time. We've been warned about these gadgets, what we have, the pros and cons. And remember, every stuff they try to use on us can be countered. It has flaws. Why? Because it's created by human beings, designed by them, no one else. I will go to blockitpocket.com. They got some pretty cool gadgets out there, RFID, untraceable cell phone holders, and RFID wallets. I'll probably add that to my footnotes so you guys can check it out because I want to take the initiative on buying some of that stuff as well. It has some pretty cool sales. And it's mom and pa. Give it a shot. You know, like I said, it wouldn't hurt. And everyone's like, I don't trust anything around here. Okay, so put your head in the sand and be an ostrich or live in a cave. You know, some members of my family, I love them to death. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, so it's nice and sunny out, breezy. I see all the glam kids from Spring Break coming down. When they listen to their hoo-ha, who let the cows out music. They go, I'm cool, man, yeah. I'm not saying they're all bad. You got some good people out there that like to chat, have cool conversations. You got others who want to party, trying to get laid. All you get from a girl is a handshake. Oh, I love you. Or their companion, I love you, handshake. But, yeah, so dogs chilling on the cold pavement. Yeah, man, hit CJ's Java Lounge once again. Mom and Pa, they have a little happy hour. So we're going to do some chicken wraps, chicken Caesar wrap. That's brand new. Got good coffee, good vibe. If you're tired of the mainstream corporate coffee shops, go to the Mom and Pa's. Support local businesses. Don't rely on all these big chains. A lot of it is pretty damn disgusting. So, yeah, I like it's fun. I'm watching this TV show. I think Kiefer Sutherland's in it. Designated Survivor. Look, stop having the United States being an empire. And don't give us the monumental deception they attack because of our freedoms. Good grief. Interesting here. I just want to check this out. But, oh yeah, okay. I see what's happening here. Thank you. Whoop. 5 issues located. Yeah, I'm just doing a couple of things here. Cleaning out my computer. That's pretty cool. I have no beef on that whatsoever. But looks like threats are being resolved. Oh, yeah. It's going to take a while. Cookie tracker. Internet Explorer is a cookie tracker. So is Edge. They want to spy on me. Do, 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 do. Yeah. Big brother, I'll sell my soul, sell my ass in the name of security. I will be your bend over Bob, Uncle Tom, and your bellboy. Because I want to be a New World Order asset. I don't think so. All right. So enough of that bickering and lovable rants. I'm going to be doing... Not now. I hate these advertisers. Good grief. Leave me alone, will ya? First thing I'm going to be doing, it's actually from shtfplan.com. I think it's written by Mr. Jeremiah himself. And it says here, Obama turned CIA and FBI into instruments of the state. Their mission cannot be fulfilled in a manner beneficial to the defense of the United States. Yes, so let's read on. Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, was created in 1947 at the director of President Truman. It had evolved from the OSS, Office of Strategic Services, used to perform the clandestine military and espionage operations during World War II. The legal framework used to justify the CIA's operation took several forms. The National Security Act of 1947 allowed the CIA special exemptions from the normal congressional oversight. Makes them be really effing special. The 1947 Act contained a provision that allowed the CIA to perform such other functions and duties related to intelligence as the National Security Council may from time to time direct. This followed and expanded upon by the Central Intelligence Agency Act of 1949, a subsequent charters and the presidential directives that eventually enabled it to operate almost unrestricted at the direction of the president, which effectively bypassing accountability to Congress. Glamour men, they want the world revolve around them. Glamour men, that crap don't think they don't think to tell them out. They'll put their nose in the air like they really care. All right. The FBI saw a similar evolution in the revision in its mission following the end of World War II. The FBI agent was always viewed as a type of top cop in the U.S. However, domestic law enforcement is a secondary role to its primary function, the conduct of counterintelligence operations on American soil. Specifically, this meant to track down and nullify capture foreign operatives such as KGB, Komet, Gostov Savinoi, Bezu, the Nasty agents, the then Soviet Union's intelligence operatives. The CIA role is similar, but for foreign non-domestic operations, the conduct of intelligence and counterintelligence operations outside of the U.S. for missions either partially or entirely carried out in the United States. This must be demonstrably in the interest of national security. The CIA is not permitted to conduct operations without a domestic law enforcement agency attached to it at the time of execution. In the 1950s, the United States realized that the Iron Curtain of nations held by the Soviet Union was going to be pushed back or neutralized. There was another change. One moment. I'm just working on my getting my computer retuned here. So I will continue. Not now. Stop. Thank you. All right. There's another change in operations of the CIA that led to covert military operations, either by their operatives or forces. Recruited foreign mercenaries or soldiers handpicked from the U.S. military personnel led by operatives. This has not ceased up until the present day. There was a hiatus in this practice with the Church Committee formed in January 27, 1975 and headed by Senator Frank Church, Democrat from Idaho. The final report by this committee was released April 26, 1976 and put a huge damper on the conduct of CIA operations worldwide. Concurrently, the FBI was being nipped away domestically when details of its COINTELPRO or counterintelligence program procedures during the 1960s to 1970s came to light. The ones who protested it most vehemently were the ones who were justified. Sorry, I'm getting all this interruptions here. Who were justifiably within its crosshairs, until the COINTELPRO techniques developed during the Cold War for use in counterintelligence against foreign agents by the FBI were employed against black militant and white supremacy groups, as well as groups deemed subversive and destructive, such as the Weather Underground. Note, this last organization spawned Bernardine Dohrn and Bill Ayers, criminal communist revolutionaries who mentored and sponsored Barack Hussein Obama II. COINTELPRO was actually employed between 1956 and 1971 before liberals and other communists labeled it as an infringement on First Amendment rights and attacked the FBI for employing it. During those years, we experienced a plethora of domestic agents in foreign employ. The Rosenbergs had just been executed in 1953 for selling the secrets of the hydrogen bomb to the Soviets, and the rise of student radicalism during the 60s followed on the heels of Eisenhower's failed policies that allowed communists access to public schools and universities to mold the minds of youth. Contemporary politicians of today, such as Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, are all the direct resultant creations of communist indoctrinators at the secondary school and university level. The FBI subsequently morphed into an organization that took care of domestic terrorists and worked to ensure that the existing social and political order was not overthrown. The 1980s saw a great change in CIA's activities as the agency began to recover from the Church Committee and the tying of its hands by the Carter administration. That change was fostered by Reagan, but it came to a standstill with the Iran-Contra scandals, in which funds from one theater of operations were diverted toward another without congressional approval or oversight. With the 9/11 attacks, the CIA was then utilized to get intelligence war, while the DoD, Department of Defense, was tasked with covert paramilitary operations as well as intelligence gathering. Over the past 15 years, there has been the alienation and a blending of Special Forces assets and the CIA's operators, where each have relied more heavily upon the other. Emphasis has been more on covert strikes, missions, and assassinations rather than intelligence gathering. The Obama administration embraced the use of the CIA and improved drone strike capabilities to kill its targets in countries such as Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Yemen. Obama's main focus, however, was in utilizing case officers and field operatives in destabilization operations in order to successfully overthrow governments and instituted coups d'etats, with cover provided by the embassies and the State Department offices in the target nations. This is where we currently are. The problem facing the new administration is there are a tremendous amount of operations that have been initiated under Obama that will have to be curtailed and or reversed under President Trump. Some are simple, such as Ukraine, where operatives will need to continue gathering intelligence about the changing situation without continuing the destabilization efforts initiating under the prior administration. The other inherited operations are more complex, such as those taking place in the Balkan states, such as Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, or where we have recently deployed the capabilities for nuclear weapons launchings, such as Romania. Regarding these last, the intelligence provided by the station is still critical, but the operational tempo has changed due to the president desiring a newfound detente and reset with Russia. This is a 180-degree change from what Obama wanted, a war with Russia. The important consideration is this. All operations are approved in either directly or indirectly from the level of the commander-in-chief. The FBI under Obama has turned into an instrument of the state capable of ignoring heinous crimes such as the release of classified documents by the former Secretary of State presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, or the sale of guns in Operation Fast and Furious, resulting in the death of a U.S. Border Patrol agent. The FBI is more interested in combating domestic terrorism, making it a de facto instrument of suppression by the government, than it is with protecting U.S. citizens from ever-present threat of foreign agents and foreign terrorists entering the country and carrying out operations. This is where we stand today. These two agencies have a specific function. However, those missions cannot be fulfilled in a manner beneficial to the defense of the United States when an administration twists them to serve its own end. We have a new president, an American president, who can set the standards and ensure that they are met, not tying the hands of either agency behind their backs. The important thing is to return them to the basic and the services of the Constitution of the American people. Wars cannot be fought by Marquis of Queensberry rules. However, the president can make policies that govern agencies' actions and return them to their original mission, an honored one our country depends on. You gotta see things on all sides. You have the pros and cons, like the whole thing. The CIA did a lot of errors, especially sticking in other countries' or nations' affairs, and it blew back in their faces, and good people suffered from it, regardless. So, and the FBI as well. I remember did some articles about maybe the upcoming Fourth Reich, which J. Edgar Hoover praised the Third Reich, or Adolf Hitler, the Nazis, for saying see how they can do when it comes to getting information. So you have to. That's why it's just an example of what's been happening. So I look at all sides, and there's some good people in these entities, but past practice really hurt the actual cause. So just a shame when they try to get more and more money, we don't have enough, and still got the same results. But I'm going to stop from there and hit this next one. Next one will be from LinkedIn.com. Craig Dodds wrote this, came out yesterday. It says here, CIA hacking tools in review. Cisco was a primary target. It says the article has been updated. In addition, findings as of Wednesday, March 8th. As I'm sure news sites will be picking this up shortly, I'll try to be brief today on this update and on this post later with more detailed information as I dig through the documentation. For those who aren't aware, WikiLeaks has received a veritable treasure trove of confidential CIA device hacking tools from an unknown source. Today, Tuesday, March 7, 2017, WikiLeaks begins in its new series of leaks on the U.S. intelligence agency, codenamed Vault 7 by WikiLeaks. It's the largest ever publication of confidential documents on the agency. While the tools themselves have not been released as of today, the internal documentation of for the projects have been approximately 1,200 unique items. As I was concerned for our own products, I began rug magging around the network device branches new tool set looking for Juniper-specific attacks and implants, of which there appear to be none. Further review is, of course, required to confirm this. What did I find? However, the vast majority of them were targeting Cisco equipment. A brief list of the affected devices that I've identified can be found below. Cisco ASR 1006, Cisco ISR 881, Cisco SUP 720 for the Catalyst 6500s and 7600s, Cisco 3560G, Cisco C2900, Cisco 2911, A more detailed list with links can be found below for the specific implants and modules with their associated code names. JQJ Dragon Seed, Earl Grey for Cisco ASR 1006, JQG Sadly Conduit for Cisco ISR 881. There's links in here, you can see it for yourselves. JQJ Hairpiece and JQ Thresher for Cisco 2960XS. JQJ Adverse Cisco 3560G. Cytolist for Cisco SUP 720 for Catalyst 6500 and 7600. These implants seem to take multiple modules, such as one for JQJ Adverse Cisco 3560G. Powerman, HG, and Rokem. An example of Rokem is used by the CIA as part of their CONOP, concealed operations, for deploying additional module HG on the adverse platform 3560G. For clarity's sake, there are many other implant and modules available for SOHO SMB style rotors like Linksys, Zico, and Microtech. Cisco appears to be, for the time being, the only enterprise-grade vendor that was targeted by the CIA. As far as other interesting information that I've come across, there is an eternal discussion on what did the equation do wrong and how can we avoid doing the same. That occurred on an internal CIA discussion board. Let's scroll down for the comments on Kaspersky's research on how the CIA can avoid the same pitfalls as the NSA. More to come as I dive deeper into the documentation. This is an update for Wednesday, March 8th. HG module seems to be more advanced, requiring Roxxon to be present to facilitate its installation. It enables covert remote access of the device plus traffic snooping capabilities. The CIA went to great lengths to ensure that no indicators would be presented to an administrator that would indicate a compromised device, such as increased memory utilization, that's 2 MB, console or syslog output during normal operations, reboots and reloads, as well as during stack trace analysis, which would generally be performed by Cisco and Cisco TAC, or TAC. What's most novel about the HG are the channels that the CIA used to perform command and control, or C2, for their compromised targets. For what I'm going to tell from the documentation, HG allowed the CIA to interact with the device and exfiltrate data via a multitude of covert channels, masquerading as Microsoft software package updates. It appears they leverage the SDC format in some form or fashion for bidirectional communication, as they're one of the two primary mechanisms. DSM base is difficult to tell from the documentation how they are using DNS, but it's probably a safe assumption that there is an obfuscated or encrypted payload with the DNS packets which are being passed between the C2 servers and their target's device. Of note, the hardcore domain in some instance, www.vesselwatcher.net, HTTPS and ARP. These are mentioned briefly but never elaborated from outside of confirming that their check-in is functioning as expected. Another point I'd like to address is my purpose for originally writing this article. This was not meant to be an attack or an attempt at belittling Cisco due to their apparent vulnerability. As I discussed in the section below, my personal belief is that given an unlimited set of funds, sufficient motivation, and time, any system can be compromised. Cisco was an obvious target for the CIA given the current market share and presence in many environments. After having read a significant portion of the CBD's notes, it's quite apparent that Cisco did not make it easy for them. Some of these exploits are extremely complex in nature and require significant engineering effort to make successful. These tools are a testament to Cisco's engineering, if anything. The standard disclaimer: views expressed in this article are my own and does not necessarily represent the views of my employer. So, it's interesting there because if you're going to take funding according to this, you're going to be flawed. You're going to be bamboozled or entrapped. So let's go here for an example. May have done that. If you have these gadgets, you might have to find something that is not CIA or government friendly. There's plenty of them out there. So, gotta be careful what you buy, my friends. And remember to always observe responsibly. Correct? Correct. So, next here. Oops, hold on here. Next will be, I'll be back a little bit. Whoop. Okay, well, the next one here will be more interesting CIA related, I would say, or WikiLeaks. More stunning WikiLeaks surface are ready. Are we ready for them? Like Catherine J. from Bovich. Truly, we are living in unbelievable times. Whoever have thought so much ongoing underbelly culture at apparently high levels of government agencies is and has been going for no longer that taxpayers know or possibly want to believe. According to a stunning WikiLeaks dump of over 8,000 CIA documents about the CIA's hacking abilities, which, when deployed, can leave footprints of other countries from whom they stole hacking programs, including Russia. President Trump is apparently vindicated in his claims about Obama's hack attack on the Trump Tower, and the Russians did it. Independent newscaster Gary Franchi discusses the importance of the WikiLeaks dump, and there apparently is another CIA insider whistleblower, a la Aaron Snowder, on the loose. You watch the video, and Gary Franchi is good. I always recommend you check him out. All right, that's a good video here. Now, if only WikiLeaks could produce some concrete Pizzagate or Pedogate breadcrumbs of evidence, as those two volatile trigger issues involving high government officials, past and present, which will motivate citizens demanding justice, probably like no scandal in U.S. history ever has. Why? They involve innocent children in human trafficking. Personally, I've contended from the very beginning of the opposition's rapid takedown efforts being torpedoed at Donald J. Trump, now President Trump. The issue really at stake for the movers and shakers was the huge pedophilia rings, global involvements with hubs in Washington, D.C., London, UK, and a few other foreign places coming to the light of day, especially during the Trump administration. You also know President Trump has a chutzpah to tweet on what's on his mind, which most citizens have been programmed to think is indications of Trump's fickleness. Be forewarned. President Trump is no dumb fox. He's playing the game their way, and they don't like it either. What strikes me not only as interesting but disconcerting is the media's abject reluctance to even go near the pedophilia problem in government. Doesn't that strike readers as something odd? Shouldn't news media on all fronts by clamoring to disclose and expose child abuse, since it involves sexual abuse of innocent children with alleged implications of satanic rituals performed even to the point of sacrifices? Shouldn't that be investigated to determine the facts, not covered up by the media? In the media, look what they uncovered about a high British official regarding pedophilia. According to Wikipedia, the BBC also reported that that former Daily Mirror crime correspondent Jeff Edwards, who has stated he was told by a detective in the 1980s that an investigation into pedophiles was closed on the order of a senior politician, had recently been contacted by the police, he told BBC. I think this was a cynical cover-up. There was no doubt in their minds the way they would deal with this was simple, to expunge it from the record. As far as they were concerned, they could make it go away forever. Let's not allow the pedophilia scourge affecting the U.S. and the globe to go away forever. Justice is needed for harm done in the past and to prevent pedophiliac harms in the future, especially since there's been talk about making pedophilia legal. Unbelievable. Let the investigations begin. We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other publications whose directors have attended our meetings and respected their promises of discretion for almost 40 years. It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we have been subjected to the lights of publicity during those years. But the world is more sophisticated and prepared to march towards a world government, a supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite, and world bankers is surely preferable to the national autodetermination practiced in past centuries. This is David Rockefeller made a statement, 1991 Bilderberg meeting in Baden, Germany. Reference Wikipedia.org, Westminster Pedophilia Dossier. And let's check that out, shall we? And you know me and well enough. I post this stuff on Facebook and many others. And it does talk about the whole thing with Dossier. Let's give you a basic rundown about the pedophilia allegedly associated with the British government. Was assembled by the British Member of Parliament Geoffrey Dickens, who was handed to then Home Secretary Leon Bratton in 1984. The whereabouts of Dossier is unknown, along with other files of organized child abuse that have been held by the Home Office. So there's a lot of interesting history here with Theresa May and all that, the background. And I did some reports, not reports, but narrated some events that even happened in some of the townships in Britain about child pedophile rings. And a lot of these areas people are being busted, being arrested for this, which is fantastic. And I recall even Donald Trump's executive order on implementing this a lot more bolder, being more aggressive towards this blasphemous operation to get this out and clean house. Even though I am critical of some of the man's actions, but in this area, like I told folks, I'm backing him up 100%. And he's a grandfather too. You have to really think about that as well. But a lot of stuff is happening, and this is really interesting. So it's an exciting time to be alive. That's all I gotta say. Even my own mom, she's like in her 71. She's like, wow, she didn't expect this to happen in her lifetime. A lot of people are seeing this, which is good. We've got to actually go full force and address it to everyone we know, including our petty enemies. Because you know why? They don't even care about our enemies' children as well, and they should not be in these, be detained or falsely imprisoned. Okay, plain and simple. All right. Speaking of CIA, this one here came out yesterday by Mass Private Eye. CIA Central School is creating total surveillance smart cities. Yeah, total surveillance smart cities for dumb people, I call it. And, of course, it has here the trademark and all that good stuff. A Center of Innovation, Testing, and Evaluation in the University of New Mexico. And new high-tech companies are helping design smart cities that will spy on everyone. 2 years ago, PGH announced their plans to spend $1 billion to build a full-scale mock-up smart city complete with surveillance cameras, microphones, Bluetooth monitoring devices, license plate readers, and probably Stingray cell phone surveillance towers. Click here to learn how Bluetooth monitoring device spies on motorists and pedestrians. Of course. What this means is the feds have designed a mock-up city specifically designed to perfect their surveillance of citizens. And they have the Alexa's like, yeah, she wants to live in a smart city. All right, so let's see. CIA Signature School is designing a smart city. On November 10, 2016, CIA Director James O'Brien met with the 10 NSSP scholars following his announcement that UNM to be designated the first IC CAE Signature School. Articles in the Albuquerque Business First Days. The program will deepen cooperation with the CIA and the UNM. This is unbelievable. CIA Signature School is designing smart cities. Yep, smart cities for global people, I call it. Just 2 weeks ago, it was revealed that DHS, GE, Intel Corp, and AT&T Inc. were installing more than 3,200 cameras and microphones in San Diego. So if you want to feel safe, go to that beautiful city, San Diego, and go, yes, I am a slave to the state. You can bet they'll use this to mock up smart cities in New Mexico before installing them in San Diego. Albuquerque would be a perfect spot because remember, UNM is in Albuquerque. How did this happen? 2 years ago, a CIA Central School helped create a large-scale mock-up of a smart city, and now thousands of spying streetlights are being installed in San Diego. Unfortunately, my prediction that ShotSpotter and GE were working together to install spying street lights has come true. CIA Central School working on smart cities. This is some kind of twisted joke. Joke? UNM claims to have 100% job placement program with the CIA, FBI, DHS, and numerous other government agencies. So if you want to spread your butt cheeks to the government, go to UNM and go to this program. Go, yes, I want to be a number and be their demonad. UNM also has numerous Homeland Security courses. Yeah, so if you like a police state, love to grow up people, come join our courses. And a Google search for the University of New Mexico and Homeland Security returned close to 1 million hits. Why? There is no mass media coverage about CIA-run smart cities. DHS is a key component in designing smart cities. According to PGH, Homeland Security is a key component designing smart cities. Homeland Security is a key component for the plan for the SITE, SITE, which will include a security testing area for first responders technology with the benefit of proximity to the civil and commercial infrastructure. According to the future of smart cities, DHS is assisting in smart city development technologies and their physical infrastructure. DHS's Science and Technology website says that smart cities are a collaborative effort led by the DOT and supported by the Department of Energy and the National Institute of Standards and Technology. DHS also has a Smart City Initiative program. Come on, folks, sing 1984. Go, God bless Big Brother. All right. Smart cities uses commercialized military tech to spy on everyone. According to PGH's website, they are also a prime vendor for the U.S. government and a manufacturer of defense equipment and technologies. PGH are also experts in commercializing military tech for the marketplace and the militarizing of global commercial technologies for the DoD and other U.S. government agencies. Click here to find out how on the Department of Defense funds MAP. What they're really saying is PGH specializes in using military spying equipment in smart cities. Brief list of companies on smart cities: Cisco, Siemens, IBM, Microsoft, GE, Intel Corp, AT&T Inc., and Samsung. Those folks who work for AT&T, they're represented by the Communication Workers of America, CWA. You should be having a cow. There's a big list of detailed list of companies working on smart cities. Their common goal is to turn every city into a smart city. Let's check this out. Let's see what they got here. Now, shouldn't be a big issue. Let me just head back here for a moment. Yeah, let me just get this reactivated here. And yeah, we'll hit these things. I'll be back. All right, cool. I'm not going to go too bonkers on here. It's a nice long page, but interesting. You got organizations such as Caves Valley Technologies, Evasive, Cityway, Clever Devices, here, HERE, and of course you got IDC, you got Joyride, you got Laird, you got Legion, you got M2M Spectrum Networks. Oh yeah, so these links, ha ha ha, you got a lot of these links here. That is effing amazing, you know. T-Mobile US involved in the smart city program. Oh, AT&T and T-Mobile. Wow, man, that is amazing. Of course, Sensops. You'd be surprised, my friend. Wow, man. I'm not going to send this to my own mom. She'll get a big kick out of this. And, ooh, AAA? AAA's added to this list? Let's say AAA's added to this list, too. Let's find out. What kind of try AAA is this? Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Ah, ha ha ha. Oh yeah, man. You got that's why. Yep, the American. No, actually the AAA. They're involved too. Wow, man, this is insane. I'm not too surprised either. Like I said, you get blown away here. EV or Charge Solutions, EXT, Microcom, Mindtech, Motion Link, Oregon Transit, Park Sense. Oh yeah, man. This is amazing. Skytran, Scarata. Yeah, we can go on and on and on. I'm about to ask AAA that. Say, hey, how's it feel supporting all this crap? That's why I'm not too keen with these companies. Solar Power and Light, involved with the smart cities. Yeah, there's a big list here. You got to go check it out yourselves. And another one here. No, I don't want anything free. Leave me alone. 80 startups making smart city smarter across traffic. A big list of article here. When this came out, there's a blog. All came out January 24th to be exact. It gives you a whole rundown of all these companies involved. According to this, yeah, Ridlar, Move It. Oh yeah. So all you gotta do is look at these things yourselves, and very amazing how these vultures do things. You know, corporations don't care about. The common goal is to make everyone a smart city. Corporations don't care about our privacy. Their only goal is to earn a piece of their projected $1.56 trillion smart city market. Smart city are about surveillance drones, according to the Smart Cities Council, smartcity.com, Smart City Catalyst, Securing Smart Cities, GAIA Smart Cities, Smart Kit Cities are all about interconnected intelligence and surveillance drones. A report by Securing Smart Cities called Establishing a Safe and Secure Municipal Drone Program predicts police, firefighters, and the DOT will use drones to spy on citizens. The report also warns that drones will be used for widespread beyond-the-line site surveillance. Drone surveillance of citizens is projected to earn corporations $8.7 billion by 2025. For information about DOT-done surveillance, read my article, DOT's use drones to spy on motorists. Will smart cities listen to everyone's phone calls? Don't forget, the feds have used DARPA and Acquaint to spy on cities for years. Would you like to bet they are not being used in smart cities? To find out more about smart city surveillance, read my story. Smart cities are really government spying of an unimaginable scale. Smart cities are about total government control and surveillance, period. Absolutely. Welcome to 1984, my friends. This is how these vultures think. All right? I'm definitely going to send this to my members of my family. This is interesting stuff here. So, it is unbelievable. Nothing new. And can't live in fear. We got to resist it by all means necessary. Like every high gadget has a flaw. You'd be surprised what humanity can do. I recommend people in these communities, if they're gonna have a smart cities program, you go in there and tell them to stick it. And and if they, if the council and so forth belly up and go on it, call these people out. Even I would say, even if you have to use their meeting as an outhouse, because as far as I'm concerned, they were contemptuous towards their own people, their bosses, the servants of that community. They're serving their community. Okay, the constituents are the boss. Nothing else. Nothing more or less, or ends, ifs or buts. These smart cities is nothing more than 1984, or what's that one movie everyone would recommend check out? THX 1138. Okay, two great movies to check out or read a book, 1984. And Out of the Gray Zone is very good too. That was written by Claire Wolfe and the late great Aaron Zellman. I would recommend those. Just look it up. I'm not going to actually put this on the footnotes. So, with all due respect. But the truth of the matter is, my friends, you gotta be vigilant. And it's happening. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. All right, so next one here. This came out yesterday. I recommend people call Congress. They're from EFF, which is Electronic Freedom Foundation, it's called. EFF, yeah. And it says here by Jeremy Golea, came out yesterday, and Corny McSherry and Kate Tamarello. Call Congress now. Back in 2014, over 3 million internet users told the U.S. government loudly and clearly, we value our online security, we have our online privacy, and we have value net neutrality. Our voices help convince the FCC to enact smart net neutrality regulations, including long-needed privacy rules. But it appears that some members of Congress didn't get the message because they're trying to roll back the FCC privacy rules. Right now, having anything concrete ready to replace them, we're talking about our basic requirements, like getting your explicit consent before using your private information to do anything other than provide you with internet access, such as targeted advertising. Given how much private information your ISP has about you, strict limits on what to do when they are essential. Luckily, we can stop this train wreck before it happens, but we need your help. Please call your senators and your representative right now to tell them to oppose any use of Congressional Review Act, or CRA, they'll know what it is, to roll back the FCC's rules about the ISP privacy practices. If you want more ammo for your conversation with congressional staff, read on. But if you're ready, fired up, please click here to take action right now. Together, we can stop Congress from undermining crucial privacy protections. What is TLDR? Late last year, the FCC passed rules that require ISPs to protect your private information. It covered things that would usually associate with having an account with a major company, your name and address, financial information, etc., but also things like any records they keep on your browsing history, geolocation information, think cell phones, and the content of for your communications. Overall, the rules were pretty darn good, but now Senator Flake and Representative from Arizona, Representative Blackburn, both Republicans from Tennessee, want to use a known tool as a Congressional Review Act resolution to totally repeal those protections. CIA allows Congress to veto any regulation written by a federal agency like the FCC. Worse yet, it forbids the agency from passing any substantially similar regulations in the future, so the FCC would be forbidden for every trying to regulate ISP private practices. At the same time, some courts have limited the Federal Trade Commission's ability to protect your privacy too. With the hand of the two federal agents, these tied, ISPs themselves would be largely in charge of protecting their customers' privacy. In other words, a fox would be guarding the hen house. Act now. It seemed a little insistent that you take action to stop this. That's because we sincerely believe that together we can stop this disaster before it comes to pass. Every time someone calls their representative or senators, we're on one step closer to protect the privacy of all U.S. Internet users. If we raise our voices the same way ever we did to came into passing net neutrality, Congress won't be able to ignore us. So they got a list there called your Congress now. Okay, so yeah, so something like this, we got to make sure these bills and so forth, we always got to look at the fine print. I do support privacy in the internet, of course. There's many search engines I don't even use, I avoid or manipulate. Some of them I like a lot, and we always expect it. But I notice some of them, they want to keep tabs on what you have and all that. And you got to always be observant in what search engines use and counter products that will block them from put you under surveillance and all that. It may not be perfect, but everything's got to be trial and error. So try not to get anything cheap, but get something that's good that will fit your needs to protect yourselves from intrusion and all this garbage you try to shove down the internet. All right, so but one thing I like is people are concerned, are concerned about privacy, especially what's been going on with all these leaks. So that's one thing I like, and we gotta keep the pressure on. Okay, that's the main objective. You gotta really make this happen. So I'm just doing my little change here. But that's the name of the game, my friends. You gotta be vigilant, even on the internet. Okay, I'm not crazy about the FCC, but there's other avenues. I know for a fact. I know for sure that you can use to protect yourselves and safeguard all the data. Myself, I don't try to get too crazy on leaving all my eggs in one basket. So memory and paper and all that, like keep it sealed and secure that. And that's a lot more complex than what it is, right? So do it. If you believe in it, do it. You have that right. All right. This one here came from Jeff Dice from it was originally from the Ron Paul Institute. And what was originally under? Oh, the Mize Institute. It was reprinted. And it says here, the Truman was right about the CIA, written by Jeff Dice. Say what you will about President Harry Truman, but at least he didn't leave the White House a suspiciously rich man. He also actually went home to Independence, Missouri, and moved into a Moss house he didn't own. It was the same house belonging to his wife's family, where he had lived with Bess and his mother-in-law decades earlier. Flat broke and unwilling to accept corporate board positions on commercial endorsements, Truman sought a much-needed loan from a local Missouri bank. For several years, his only income was a $113 monthly Army pension, and the only sale of a parcel of land he inherited with his siblings prevented him from nearby being on relief, Truman's allegedly stated. In the 1950s, perhaps almost entirely to elevate Truman's embarrassing financial situation, Congress authorized a $25,000 yearly pension for ex-presidents, Truman and the much wealthier Herbert Hoover. In contrast this with this Luke's post-presidential life of the Reagans in Bel Air, or still unfolding saga of the Obama jet-setting life in Coloma, Palm Springs, and Oahu. But even if Truman spun honesty and common man persona sometimes wore thin, he deserves credit for starting a mission that he regretted creating the CIA. Speaking to a biographer in the 1960s, less than 20 years after signing National Security Act in 1947, Truman expressed a sense of foreboding about what the agency had become and what would become. Mayor Miller, Mr. President, I know that you're responsible as president for setting up the CIA. How do you feel about it now. He replied, "I think it was a mistake, and if I known what was going to happen, I would never have done it." This is decidedly not the kind of thing ex-presidents usually say. We won't expect George W. Bush to announce his regrets over the invasion of Iraq anytime soon. But Truman's instincts were right. Even if he couldn't have imagined what the CIA and the entire deep state nexus would become, in Truman's era, spying and subterfuge were physical endeavors involving skilled agents and analog technology. Today, the covert arts do not require James Bond, but instead a trained technician who can pull information from a server farm. Yeah, here. That is true. Indeed. Yep. Sorry about that. And where am I here? The digital revolution gives modern intelligence agencies vastly more power than they had during the Cold War days. They simply access existing metadata from whatever source rather than collecting it in real time. And intelligence gathering is just not a supplementary form of warfare waged against hostile foreign governments, but also a domestic political tool that allows deep state actors to strike at civilian and political targets. As Mr. Trump has discovered, the strike can consist of a coordinated media attacks, leaks from trusted officials, and even bizarre triangulations aimed at pinning his election on Vladimir Putin. One justification Truman provides for his actions is the old bureaucratic unicorn known as consolidation, which is often promised by politicians but never delivered. When then Congressman Ron Paul and his staff furiously argued against the creation of the Department of Homeland Security in 2002, GOP congressional leaders assured us that an entirely new department will actually consolidate several different agencies and functions. It will save money, they told us, to bring all of these disparate federal employees under one efficient umbrella. Fast forward to 2017, and DHS is just another failed department with a 1,000-page, $42 billion annual budget. Of course! I've been saying that from the very beginning. When they first announced it, I was not impressed. Even when the time would happen at horrific events on September 11, 2001, and I wasn't really thrilled about Homeland Security, okay? So I'm not the only one that questioned it. I will continue on here, but Truman apparently brought into the consolidation argument. Truman said the president needed, at that time, a central organization that would bring all the various intelligence reports we were getting in those days, and there must have been a dozen of them, maybe more. Bring them all into one organization so that the president would get one report on what was going on in the various parts of the world. That made sense, and that's why I went ahead and set up what they call the Central Intelligence Agency. Unfortunately, it's only in hindsight that Truman came to see how the iron law of oligarchy at work, which persists that all organizations, particularly government bureaucracies, eventually fall under the control of an elite few. That elite, he came to understand, does not include the president or his cabinet. Truman says, but it got out of hand. The fella, the one that was in the White House after me never paid any attention to it, and got out of hand. They've got an organization over there in Virginia now that is particularly equal to the Pentagon in many ways. And I think I've told you, one Pentagon is one too many. Now, as I can make out, those fellows in the CIA don't just report on wars and the like. They go out and make their own. There's nobody to keep track of what they're up to. They spend billions of dollars on stirring up trouble so they'll have something to report on. It becomes a government all of its own and all secret. They don't have to account to anybody. That's a very dangerous thing in a democratic society, and it's got to be put a stop to it. Stop to. The people have got a right to know what those birds are up to. And if it was back in the White House, people would know. You see the way a free government works. There's got to be house cleaning every now and again. And I don't care what branch of government is involved. Somebody has to keep an eye on things. And when you can't do any house cleaning because everything goes on is a damn secret, why then we're on our way to see something the founding fathers didn't have in mind. Secrecy and a free democratic government don't mix. And what happened at the Bay of Pigs doesn't prove that. I don't know what does. You got to keep an eye on the military at all times, and it doesn't matter whether it's the birds in the Pentagon or the birds in the CIA. This is a remarkable statement by Truman, even if delivered during a relatively unguarded moment with a trusted biographer. It shows a humility and willingness to admit grave error that is lacking in public life today. It also stands on its own as an advertent libertarian argument against state power itself. Did Truman stand by his statements about the CIA? Yes and no. Speaking to Esquire in 1971, he continued to praise the agency as needed consolidation. When I took the presidency, he received information from just about everywhere, from the Secretary of State and the State Department, the Treasury Department, the Department of Agriculture, just everybody. And sometimes they didn't agree as to what was happening in various parts of the world. So I got a couple of admirals together, and they formed the Central Intelligence Agency for the benefit and convenience of the President of the United States. So instead of the President having to look through a bunch of papers to see how the information was coordinated so the President could arrive at the fact it's still going on and is going very well. Hypocritical backpedaling on Trump's part? Perhaps. But biographer Malay Miller calls the Esquire quote pretty faint praise, but more importantly, Truman never ordered the removal of his brief chapter on the CIA from the plain speaking biography. His mea culpa still stands in print. So while he could not have fully imagined what the CIA would become, he knew in his gut he had made a terrible mistake. A mistake we're only beginning to understand today thanks to WikiLeaks. Yep. It's okay to repent. So you have to look at things in the brighter way, and based on this article, he does admit he is not 100% innocent of what has happened. Made an error and chose poorly. But remember, presidents are human beings too. And you have to respect that. It's a damn shame. But sometimes you got to pay the piper, I would say, on your wrongdoings, the fruits of your labor. All right, well, came here from Mike Meharry, 10thAmendmentCenter.com. New Hampshire House passes bill to prohibit warrantless stingray spying. Today, this is March 8th. Today, the New Hampshire House passed a bill that would ban the use of stingrays to track the location of phones and sweep up electronic communications without a warrant in most situations. The proposed law would not only protect privacy in New Hampshire, but would also hinder the aspect of the federal surveillance state. The bipartisan coalition of representatives introduced House Bill 474 on January 5th. The legislation would help block the use of cell site simulators known as stingrays. These devices essentially spoof cell phone towers, tricking any device within the range into connecting to the stingray instead of the tower, allowing law enforcement to sweep up communications content as well as locate track the person in possession of a specific phone or other electronic device. HB 474 prohibits warrantless use of stingray both for location tracking and gathering data or information from a phone. The law would allow warrantless use of a stingray if acting under a judicially recognized exception to the warrant requirement. The bill also includes provisions requiring police to limit collection of data or metadata to the person named in the warrant and to immediately permanently delete any information gathering on anyone not so named. The person would also have to delete any data or metadata relating to the person named in the court order within 30 days if there is no longer reason to believe the information is evidence of a crime. Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee passed HB 474 as amended by a 16-0 vote. Today, it passed the full House by unanimous voice. Beautiful. I like this already. Impact on federal surveillance program. The federal government funds the vast majority of state and local stingray programs, attaching one important condition. The feds require agencies acquiring the technology to sign non-disclosure agreements. Up yours, federal government. Thus, this throws a giant shroud over the program, even preventing judges, prosecutors, and defense attorneys from getting information about the use of stingrays in court. The feds actually instruct prosecutors to withdraw evidence if judges or legislators pass for information. As the Baltimore Sun reported in April 2015, a Baltimore device detective refused to answer questions on the stand during a trial, signing a federal non-disclosure agreement. How pathetic and disgusting these Uncle Toms are, right? Absolutely. Defense attorney Joshua Inslee asked Cabrera about the agreement. Does this document instruct you to withhold evidence from the state's attorneys in certain court, even upon the court order produced? He asked. Yes, Cabrera said. As privacysos.org put it, the FBI would rather police officers and prosecutors let criminals go than face a possible scenario where a defendant brings a Fourth Amendment challenge to warrantless stingray spying. The feds sell their technology in the name of anti-terrorism efforts with no disclosure agreements in place. Most police departments refuse to release any information on the use of stingrays, but information obtained by the Tacoma Police Department revealed that it uses the technology primarily for routine criminal investigations. Some privacy advocates argue that stingrays can never happen within the perimeters of the Fourth Amendment because the technology necessarily connects to every electronic device within range, not just the one held by the target, and the information collected by these devices undoubtedly ends up in federal databases. The feds can share and tap into vast amounts of information gathered at the state and local level through a system known as the Information Sharing Environment, or ISE. In other words, stingrays create the potential for the federal government to track the movement of millions of Americans with no warrant, no probable cause, and without the people knowing it. According to its website, the ISE provides analysts, operators, and investigators with information needed to enhance national security. These analysts, operators, and investigators have missions, need to collaborate and share information with each other and with private sector partners and our foreign allies. In other words, ISE serves a conduit for the standard of information gathering without a warrant. The federal government encourages Federal government encourages and funds stingrays at state and local levels across the U.S., thereby undoubtedly gaining access to a massive data pool on Americans without having to expend the resources to collect the information. By placing restrictions on stingray use, state and local governments limit the data available that the feds can access. In a nutshell, without the state and local cooperation, the feds have much more difficult time gathering information. Passage of both HB 474 will represent a major blow to the surveillance state and a win for privacy. HB 474 will move to the Senate for further consideration, and people who live in a live a free die state make that happen. Let those bastards, Big Brother from Washington, D.C. know we run our lives, you don't. You know what I'm saying? That's how you got to look at it. I'm proud of that state so far, even with their constitutional carry, for an example. Now they're trying to do this again to let the government, federal government, say, butt out. is our turf, not yours. Keep it up. Harass the daylights out of the Senate there to my brothers and sisters within that state. All right, this came from Natural Blaze. I know Live did a lot of gadgets on Big Brother and all that, but this one was pretty cool. It said Monsanto has lost $11 million as Indian cotton farmers begin to use indigenous seed. The corrupt company has been linked to deaths of 300,000 farmers after illegally pushing a farm of BT cotton from India and Africa over 10 years ago. Chemical company Monsanto is now losing millions of dollars due to farmers now planting their own indigenous seed. In the past, Monsanto has been accused of writing laws and breaking them in order to enter the Indian market. However, the company has now begun paying heavily for their misdeeds. Following more than 300,000 farmers' deaths between 1995 and 2013, many of them which were attributed to Monsanto. Farmers' suicide throughout Maharashtra, hopefully I pronounced that name correctly, which is considered to be the cotton belt in India, also have been linked to the greed of corporation, according to the reports. The Indian government has now begun actively promoting the use of indigenous seeds. Willis also publicizing Monsanto profiteering illegally on BT cotton seed. This year has already seen Monsanto lose nearly $75 million in royalties, or 5 billion rupees, due to farmers changing their seed choice. Consequently, this has led sales figures in India to fall by 15%, which may sound like a relatively small market share, but if it's currently making a huge impact on the company's bottom line, if the market change continues as it is, this could be the end of Monsanto in India. Kajiv Ra Karnade, head of India's Central Institute for Cotton Research, said, just wait for the crucial 3 to 4 years to see a complete natural turnaround. By then, most farmers will give up BT cotton and go for the indigenous variety. Additionally, after finding the seed produced a poor quality cotton that fetched low price for the farmers who chose to grow it, Burkina Faso and West Africa also recently rejected Monsanto's BT cotton seed. Monsanto has argued that the genetically modified seed is better. However, many studies have disputed that statement, claiming that Monsanto's comparison did not examine hybridized and indigenous seeds, not GM seeds, that give better crop quality and higher yields. So Monsanto's like a used car, like selling you some clothes. You look like garbage. Oh, you look fantastic and exquisite. Come on. Garbage, man. BT cotton is classified as a genetically modified seed that contains a bacterium called Bacillus thuringiensis, which produces toxins that are harmful to a variety of insects, including bollworms that attack cotton. However, just as weeds become stronger against weed-killing formulas, many organisms also become stronger against genetic mutations of Mother Nature's creations. Monsanto has even admitted that insect resistance to Bacillus thuringiensis is natural and to be expected. Oh, the bizarro world, right? Studies have found that the indigenous varieties of cotton have reacted better against the bollworm, whitefly, drought, and other dangers that cotton farmers face. Monsanto has since threatened to pull out India completely after the government threatened to lower their royalties, although doing so will bring a lot of relief to cotton farmers in India. It took generations to recapture the indigenous crop, completely due to 96% of India's cotton crop currently being developed by Monsanto's BT cotton. However, if this were to happen in the future, it would also bankrupt Monsanto simultaneously. Sanjeev Kumar Balian, India's junior agriculture minister, said, Monsanto, the greed has to end. What are your thoughts? I think it's great. So I gotta say, man, you can't fool everybody. And just to let you folks know, too, Bayer has merged with Monsanto. So if you see Bayer products, They're the same folks, okay? So you know what? I gotta give a round of applause for the farmers in India and the representatives and the people of New Hampshire. Fighting tyranny is beautiful, right? Absolutely. I think it's fantastic, and it has to keep going. Remember, Monsanto needs us more we need them. Screw these parasites. That's all they are. And I don't give a damn if you support them or not. All right? Garbage. And even with the federal government, with the big brother fetish, they can stick it too. And that's enough. I thank everyone for listening to this show. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to send me something that's interesting that I may want to check out, whatever you do, please address your correspondences with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Scene.life, and Minds.com. Or you can email me at LokiLuck3, which is look at the number 3 at gmail.com. Like I said before, I have a couple of addresses I may be using pending. And just encryption stuff and so forth. But it's all good. All right? All right, my friends, once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.